Hey you guys, well, season 11 Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion seating chart's been released, and Andy Cohen has on his right, from the closest going out, Erika Jayne Girardi, Lisa Rinna, Dorit Kemsley, and last but not least, Crystal Minkoff. And on the left, he has Kyle Richards, Garcelle and Sutton, of course, sitting together. Sutton's on the end, on the left. And I guess Kathy eventually comes and sits next to Kyle. They like shove a chair in between Garcelle and Kyle. So that's the story with the seating chart. Okay, so the juicy part of the seating chart, in my opinion, is the seating location of Dorit and Lisa Rinna. Because really, Dorit should be closer to Andy because she's been on the show longer than Lisa Rinna. But she isn't. So that leads me to believe that Andy is prioritizing Lisa Rinna over Dorit. And he also knew that Lisa Rinna is close to Erika and would give her great comfort because Erika is going to be the focal point of the reunion, obviously, and have the hardest time. So that was like an interesting move. Everybody else seems to be placed in order that they came on the show. So Crystal and Sutton are on the outside because they're the newest housewife. Garcelle is next because she was, on longer. She's sitting next to Kyle because they want to keep Dorit and Garcelle apart, so they'll hopefully fight. By the way, big shout out to Faces of Bravo for getting that information from Andy, because Andy loves him. I think there's also some information that Andy Cohen has released recently, both on his podcast and also just like general information he's submitted through Instagram and press. And so here's what we know so far. Okay, so, all right, here's the scoop. So Andy Cohen has already said that he spent a lot of time researching this reunion, which I'm happy about because I'd like to see him put in the work, okay? Since he put down my documentary that I was in, saying it wasn't a documentary. So supposedly Andy Cohen went hard on this reunion with Erika Jayne Girardi and asked all these questions to really help reflect, he said, the tone of the fans, and made her answer them, which unfortunately leads me to believe we're going to see a lot of, Erika holding in her, with all of her might, her tears, and then like a little trickle will fall down her face and she'll be like, no, and, and no emotion except for like the tears, like basically Dinner from Hell all over again. I'm not expecting any change in her behavior or any acknowledgement. I think it's going to be like a deposition. Andy Cohen reminds the fans that she's just been litigated against civilly and not criminally at the moment. So he wanted everybody to keep that in mind when watching the reunion. Okay, so I just want to say, since Andy Cohen came so hard at The Housewife and The Hustler, I'm going to be really taking notes during his reunion to see how he does. And I'm sure he doesn't care, but some of you will. And because it is a little hypocritical if he doesn't nail it. I hope he nails it. So what can we expect? Erika, I think, is going to fight with Kyle a little bit about her lack of loyalty. It's going to not be a big deal, though, I don't think. They'll get through that pretty quickly. I think Sutton and Erika are going to be the highlights. Sutton, basically backing her position. The question is, how much of that will they actually show? Because Sutton could have said the most amazing things and Evolution and Bravo cut it. It's happened. I've witnessed it being on the reunion. So I'm hoping they don't do Bravo that. And Evolution have an agenda too. If they want to change your perception of one of the cast members, they're going to do their damnedest to have that reflected in the edit. And they're going to focus on something that's helpful to someone. Or if they, in the adverse, if they're not that crazy about somebody, they might throw them under the bus in the way that they present the information in the reunion, show something, not show it. If they're not sure a person is coming back and we don't know that intel, right? They may downplay that person in the edit because they don't want the fans to become more invested. Or maybe they don't like somebody and we don't even know. So they might be like, well, let's like do less questions to them, or let's just only focus on what we really have to with them. Yeah, it's real. That happens. So Lisa Rinna is supposedly going to be giving her opinion also about how she feels about Scott. But I mean, that's no secret. She's been liking posts that, have been on Instagram recently saying that Scott Disick is, she thinks is kind of a jerk. Like, people have been saying derogatory things about Scott Disick, and she's been liking them. So I think it's safe to say she's going to be like, well, I supported my daughter, and then when she broke up with him, I was happy for her. I didn't think it was the right, relationship, something like that. I could probably write that part of the reunion. Scott Disick purportedly did not treat Amelia properly towards the end of the relationship because he was still into Kourtney Kardashian, his ex-wife, and the mother of his children. And that is the reason, supposedly, that Amelia and him broke up, because he kept talking, about Kourtney to her. Now, back to Erica really quick. I just don't see any big intel coming out of this. We're going to get, like, maybe, she'll retell the Cliff story, that, she lied in the first place, but not the second, about how hurt he got. She's going to talk about how he's got dementia. She'll probably say he checked into an Alzheimer's home, which we still haven't been able to truly establish that he's living there full time. She's going to, basically say that she's being extorted. She may bring up Ron Richards. She may not. She's going to say she's being extorted by Ron in the way that he's approaching things on her social media. She's going to say, probably that, she wishes the best for the victims, but she doesn't feel guilty of anything, and she's, not giving any money back. She's got to take care of herself, or, something, pretty much what we're seeing in social media by now. Sutton, unfortunately, I think is going to be made to sort of be more supportive to Erica than she probably deep down feels. And I think that's going to be dictated from what's coming out on Watch What Happens Live, where kind of Andy seems a little bit unsupportive to people who've been going on his show, the after show or Watch What Happens Live, and haven't totally stood behind Erica. He's sort of been, I think, a little bit catty towards them, or like just not supportive. You feel it when he's doing the interviews. So I have a feeling Sutton's probably picked up on this by now, and so she's gonna protect her position that, she has a right to ask questions, and the stuff that was being said was pretty serious, and she doesn't believe she should have been threatened. Erica will probably apologize, and they'll move on. Dorit really doesn't have that much to talk about. I mean, they're going to focus on her fashion. I think, she's going to insert a few comments in regards to Erica Jane Girardi, stick up for a few people that go up against her, and she's going to herself focus on, unfinished business with Garcelle, because she never actually to date has really addressed that. They actually shut it down at that dinner from hell at Kathy Hilton's house, which, felt produced to me in a way. I got to say that to you. It really did. It felt like they didn't want that drama to happen at the dinner party. They wanted it to be Erica. They knew that was like the storyline gold they wanted. And I think they just were like, don't let anyone else insert anything in, which has got to have been difficult on Dorit, because you feel, if that's what happened, because I've been through it, you feel slighted. I'm sure Kathy Hilton will just be funny, and they'll be just making jokes about Kathy. I think the way that sometimes they look at friends, just from being a friend, is they like use you as comic relief. Like you're kind of, I don't know if you guys know about Shakespeare, but it's kind of like you're the grave digger in the Shakespeare story. He used to bring in these bit characters in Shakespeare, and like it would just be to lighten it up during the drama, of Romeo and Juliet or whatever. I think that's what one of the main purposes of Friends are, in the way they edit them and everything, is to be like comic relief. So I do believe Kathy will yet again be used in that way. My shout out to Lion King. Crystal Minkoff, what can she do? She's going to have to forgive Sutton for, in her mind, being racist. And Sutton's going to say I should have listened more, because in every podcast since she's, had that first few episodes air, she's been saying I should have listened and I did the wrong thing. And Crystal's saying I'll forgive her. So we're going to probably see that play out a little bit on the reunion, exactly as I just said it. And maybe Crystal will give she'll say how she enjoyed for the first time being on the show, and I don't know. Anyway, I see Kyle Richards really coming in as Erica's support system. I'm hoping she drops a bomb. They sometimes use Kyle to drop bombs, so I think she could come in with something to really up everything a notch and kick off the fight with Erica, which I think they're going to have. Or maybe she'll just come in and stick up for Sutton, and then it'll take off from there. And I think, of course, to interact with Kathy Hilton. But really, what was Kyle's storyline? I don't know. She was just there, really. She just was kind of the coordinator of everything. Her anniversary with Mauricio. I don't know. So, hopefully she'll drop a bomb. Let's hope she uses that. Kyle, if you're listening, go do your research, honey. They may not show it, but if they do, it'll be great. That's it for my Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 11 reunion predictions and also the seating chart. Please let me know if you guys have anything you want me to cover. I don't mind on Instagram DM, or you could put it in my YouTube, or email me in the Patreon. Subscribe to my YouTube. Follow me on Instagram at Wilkie_Dana, or Twitter at Dana Wilkie, or sign up for Next Level Gossip on the Patreon, Dishing Drama Dana Wilkie. Okay, you guys, mwah, mwah. That's my Reddit, so don't miss it. It's juicy.